Welcome to another episode of my heroic discussion about the past heroes of Sierra Leone. Today I am going to talk about Sengbe Pieh, also known as Joseph Sengbe. Sengbe Pieh was born in 1814. He was a Mende man. He was married and had 3 children. After that, Sengbe Pieh was later sold as a slave, wherein he was bought by a Viking by the name of King Siaka. In 1839, Sengbe Pieh was also sold by King Siaka to a Spanish slave trader by the name of Pedro Blanco. Pedro Blanco bought Sengbe Pieh as a slave and later imprisoned him on a Portuguese slave ship by the name of Tecora. Sengbe Pieh was imprisoned on this slave ship for a while, and later him and 110 slaves were transported to Cuba in Havana. While Sengbe Pieh and the 110 slaves were in Havana in Cuba, Pedro Blanco also sold Sengbe Pieh and other slaves to 2 Spanish slave traders in Cuba, who were Jose Ruiz and Pedro Montez. Pedro Montez were the slave traders who bought Sengbe Pieh and the 110 slaves. Then later, Sengbe Pieh and the other slaves realized that the slave traders had planned to transport them in the coastal area in Cuba to sell them as slaves so that they would be working in a sugar plantation. When this happened, on the 30th of June in 1839, Sengbe Pieh revolted against slave traders, wherein he killed the captain, the cook, and 2 slaves were killed, and also 2 sailors escaped from the ship. Sengbe Pieh then ordered the slave traders to return the ship back to Sierra Leone in 1839. Unknowingly, the 2 slave traders navigated the ship right to the United States of America. When the ship landed in the United States of America in 1839, some of the slaves on the ship tried to escape, but unfortunately, they were arrested by the U.S. Navy officers at the ship. The ship was landed at the Long Island in New York, and later, the slave traders explained what had transpired on the ship. They later arrested Sengbe Pieh and the other slaves and put them into custody. They were charged for murder and mutiny and later transferred to Connecticut. The court then ruled in favor of Sengbe Pieh and the other slaves, wherein the court said that they were right to fight for themselves as they were illegally captured and sold by the slave traders. When this news broke out, the slave traders were not happy, so they therefore appealed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court by then. In March 1841, the U.S. Supreme Court also adjudicated the same matter. This was also known as America vs. the Amistad. The Amistad Revolt was one of the worst revolts which happened in 1839. When the U.S. Supreme Court adjudicated in favor of the slaves, where Joseph Sengbe and the other slaves were involved, the former U.S. President by then, John Quincy Adams, were one of the people who fought hard in order to see that the slaves regained their freedom and liberation. When this happened, the court therefore ordered and said that the slaves should return back to their country, which was Sierra Leone. The 35 slaves then returned to Sierra Leone in 1842, where Sengbe Pieh and the others also came to their land. In 1879, Sengbe Pieh passed away. Throughout this time, Sengbe Pieh had been regarded as one of the heroes of Sierra Leone America, and the whole world as someone who fought hard to get liberation, who fought against slavery, who fought against injustice, and who fought against illegality. Due to this, a bridge was constructed in Sierra Leone in honor of his name, and also the local currency of Sierra Leone, 5 leones, his name was printed on it. Follow this page for more, as I will be bringing you back-to-back stories about Sierra Leone's culture, tourism, entertainment, and food. The Amistad Revolt has always been regarded as one of the worst revolts that happened in the world during slavery.